The Republican National Committee is now joining Donald Trump and others in desperately trying to keep their own email records away from the January 6th committee investigating the Trump riots of 2021. Once again, this is not the behavior of parties who have nothing to hide. CNN report, RNC tries to stop 2020 email communications data from going to the January 6th committee on Wednesday. The House Select Committee investigating the attack on the U.S. Capitol is poised to receive data from the Republican Party's email communications platform, Salesforce. And the Republican National Committee rushed to court last night to try to block it. The development is the latest to emerge about the House's aggressive pursuits, reconstructing political misinformation after the 2020 election that contributed to Trump supporters storming the Capitol on January 6th. The RNC alleges that the House subpoenaed a Salesforce seeking information about election communications, including those related to former President Trump, quote, would give the Select Committee unprecedented access to the RNC's internal political strategies and to private personal information regarding supporters, practically adding reasons that their emails should be investigated. What were they telling their big donors right on the eve of the January 6th Trump riots? Political strategies, which they want to hide, are exactly what got these people where they are now. Political strategies that involve lying about election results, intimidation, calling for violence, spreading fear and propaganda through right-wing media, trying to invalidate voters, purge voter rolls, change vote totals, send alternate bogus slates of electors. All of those things are why we're in this mess. And so the January 6th committee is 100% right to say, hey, maybe they were talking about that stuff in their email communications. And if there isn't illegal stuff in there, they don't really have anything to worry about. I mean, everybody knows what the strategies are. You think we're going to learn about new strategies by looking at their emails? We know what the strategies are. What we might learn is that they were openly plotting and communicating about them with donors and other higher-ups. The article goes on. Last week, the RNC filed a lawsuit against the House committee, complaining about the Salesforce subpoena's breadth. But that lawsuit was unlikely to succeed as it was aimed only at the committee, not at Salesforce, and there is no emergency mechanism to fast track it in court. So Salesforce was planning to turn these records over. But now the RNC has added Salesforce to the lawsuit. Will they ultimately get those records? I don't know. We'll find out, very soon. But think of the irony and think of the hypocrisy and the double standard. The DNC emails were hacked. You might remember that. And Putin told Trump very strongly that it wasn't Russia, and Trump believed him. Okay, whatever. But the DNC emails were hacked. And of course, Republicans didn't take the high road. They didn't say these were incorrectly released. We're not going to use them. They immediately used those emails for propaganda. And here they are saying, well, no. It would be completely improper. We're not talking about hacking. But they're acting as though this legal mechanism is worse than the hacking. They're like, no. It would be inappropriate to use that legal mechanism to get these documents from us. And the documents shouldn't be released. That would be wrong. But when documents were hacked, they were fine to use them and publicize them, et cetera, et cetera. And this is, to be fair, both sides do this, not to the same degree, but both sides, when there are documents that are made public, if you don't like the content of the documents, you focus on the impropriety of them being made public. If you like the content of the documents, you just focus on the content. Democrats and Republicans, they all do this, but they're not as hypocritical to this degree. If they did nothing wrong, they should have nothing to hide. And it's more than that. They should want to clear themselves of any wrongdoing. Even if their strategy gets out to the committee, they should be eager to prove we were not involved in anything untoward or potentially against the law. Now, what do I think is potentially going to be exposed by these documents if they are released? On today's bonus show, we're going to talk about what's going on with Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny Thomas. Ginny Thomas, we now have learned, attended one of the January 6th events. She attended the January 6th rally before the attack. She wasn't at the attack, but she was at the rally before the attack. And Clarence Thomas has recently been making statements about, we don't want the Supreme Court to become political. I am suspicious that part of what is now the kind of next ring in these concentric circles around the Trump riots is something that relates to Ginny Thomas and thus has the potential to pull in Clarence Thomas. And we're going to talk about that a lot more on today's bonus show. They've gotten away with a lot of shenanigans for a very long time. And the January 6th committee is right to go after these email communications, and let's hope that they get them. One of our sponsors today is Blue Chew, a unique online service delivering the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. And they're giving my audience an entire month's supply for free. So if you think you could benefit from an extra boost of confidence when it's time, all you have to do is take a short quiz on their website. A licensed doctor approves your prescription. The medication comes straight to your home within days in a discreet package. No driving around to the doctor's office or the pharmacy. No waiting around. No awkward conversations with your doctor. All of Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA. The entire process is just a few clicks. Go to bluechew.com. The link is underneath this video. They'll give you an entire month's supply for free when you use the promo code PACMAN. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping.